Welcome to Bully Ball, a 49ers podcast. We got a, early week live stream. Probably going to have nobody in here watching this, but we've just been seeing some wild stuff being posted. Obviously Trey Lance is hurt. Jimmy G's come in. Is it Kyle Shanahan's fault? Who's to blame? And all these theories and stuff's being thrown around. So we wanted to hop on and give our thoughts. Hopefully somebody hops on here and talks with us. I've seen some crazy Twitter spaces, people going off, flipping out. It's been wild. So let's hop right into it, no delaying. How are you doing today? And what are your thoughts on this situation?
Doing good. It's good to get on here with a little midweek segment. A little sick right now still, so bear with me and my voice. Yeah, it's interesting. I've heard a bunch of different takes on it. It is football. Injuries are going to happen. I don't like the idea of running Trey up the middle as many times as we did, and just running him in general as many times. But as you know, if Shanahan sees like one play works, he's going to do it over and over and over again. Just like with Debo at running back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when we drafted Trey, Shanahan set out from the start, if you have a mobile quarterback, you're having like what does he say? Like 10 on 11 or 11 on 11 instead of like 10 on 11, I think, right?
Yeah.
And that's been like his motive with Trey the whole time. You know what I mean? Like, so he's been like almost dying for that. And I think he was just overusing it so much. And Eric Crocker, he was talking about a little bit. He said he thinks that we were maybe running him so much to compensate for the lack of throwing accuracy and all that. So he was saying that maybe we were running him so much to kind of cover up his like inaccuracies and all those little problems that he has throwing. I thought that was pretty interesting. So maybe that is, but I mean, you got to let the guy freaking get his ups and downs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I could see Kyle Shanahan doing that, but I also think doing that is wrong at the same time. He didn't show you his inaccuracies. Like, we didn't see that because he wasn't throwing the ball. How is he going to improve if he isn't throwing the ball? I forget what the splits were in this game right off the bat, but it was like 10 runs to 3 passes when Trey Lance was in, and it immediately flipped when Jimmy came in. I kind of feel like, Kyle Shanahan was uncomfortable calling plays for Trey Lance, like he didn't know what to call for him. And we've said, whether it be last year in that Arizona game, the Chicago game, we said, hey, this dude is running the ball way too much. Like, this is not sustainable. And you can say, oh, Lamar Jackson, look at Lamar Jackson, look at Josh Allen. Yes, they do run the ball a lot. Lamar Jackson was hurt last year running the ball. Josh Allen, kind of an outlier. But even I remember watching the week 1 game, I was like, if he keeps running like this, he's not going to sustain a full season. And, he's a different dude, but, if they keep running like that, he's probably not going to sustain a full season. It's just what it is.
Well, the most carries for a quarterback was Lamar Jackson back in a couple years ago, I think, when he won the MVP. And it was like, I think like 176 carries for the season. So that's around 10 carries a game. And Trey Lance was on pace for like over 200 carries this season, like blowing that record out of the water, averaging like 13, 14 carries a game. And I feel like the way that Lamar Jackson is running, he gets down and he runs to like the perimeter. We're running Trey Lance up the gut on like QB powers and shit multiple times too. Not like once, like multiple times. And then of course we'll run him to the perimeter every now and again, but getting hit by a corner compared to getting hit by a D lineman or linebacker, big difference.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like there might have been some misevaluation when the 49ers were evaluating Trey Lance. As we all know, he didn't run a 40. So, you didn't really, you saw the speed, but at the same time, you see it against FCS level competition. But you never got that 40. And I know people say the 40 isn't important, but I think personally, Kyle Shanahan thought Trey Lance was going to be more dynamic outside of the tackles, and he just wasn't. And so after that, he's kind of running them like Cam Newton. And Trey's a bigger guy, but it's just not sustainable running a quarterback in between the tackles. Where all the big guys are, and it's pretty unfortunate. But I have one storyline that I wanted to talk about that I haven't seen anybody talk about so far with this whole injury and all this stuff going on. And that's if you saw the thumbnail, I said, failure. Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch failed. And now you may say, how have they failed? Their goal is to win a Super Bowl. They still have a chance with Jimmy G. And that is correct. But if we think all the way back to the time when the 49ers traded up to the number 3 pick, there was interviews with John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan where they had stated the reason that they traded up. And go ahead and explain if you think or remember why they decided to trade up for a quarterback. And I'll pull up the article while you do.
Shoot. I don't remember exactly, but I'm guessing it was probably to like expand the playbook, for Shanahan to be able to have that like mobility. I don't have no idea. I have no
One
idea.
second, pulling it up now. Let me find the
One
exact.
yeah, one
I got it.
thing you got it.
Yeah, I gotta move it to a different thing real quick though. Hold on.
One thing you were saying about like Cam Newton and Josh Allen, how they were like how that's how we're trying to run Trey. They're also a lot bigger than Trey is. You remember we pulled up Josh Allen that one pod and he was I think like an inch taller than Trey and like 15 to 20 pounds heavier. And I'm sure Cam Newton's similar too. Because if you look at Cam Newton and Trey Lance side by side, Cam Newton's a lot thicker. You know what I mean? He's a lot broader than Trey Lance is.
Let me
So
let me look at the sizes real quick before I pull up this article for you.
yeah, because like we said, Josh Allen is an inch and about 15 to 20 pounds heavier than Trey. And I think you can easily see that too because Josh Allen looks like a thicker dude compared to Trey. He's kind of like on the skinnier side, I feel like.
Trey Lance was 6'3" and 7'8", so basically 6'4", 224. And then we have Cam Newton.
Is this a combine
I
or
believe
pro
so,
days
yes.
or something?
I believe combine or pro day, I'm not sure. Cam Newton, 6'5", 245.
Yeah.
20 pounds extra.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I mean,
you
you can
have
see it too.
Josh Allen, 6'5", almost 240. 20
Yeah.
pounds extra.
Yep.
And that makes it different. 20 pounds don't seem like a lot, but when you have think of a 200-pound running back versus a 220-pound running back. Nobody calls a
Yeah.
200-pound running back a bruiser. But when they're 220, you're like, hey, this dude's hard to tackle.
Yep.
So imagine that difference for a quarterback.
Yeah.
All
Definitely.
right. Let me pull up this article. So this is an article from I believe, right after the 49ers traded up to pick number 3. And of course, bunch of questions about why they traded up. Who were they going to go after? And they probably at the time didn't know from all the reports we saw who they were going after. But then they get asked about Jimmy Garoppolo and how, he's handling the situation and his outlook with the team. And so John Lynch goes on to give, the professional answer of, oh, Jimmy G's great, we still expect great things, but Kyle Shanahan really just speaks his mind and says what he wants to say. And Kyle Shanahan and goes on to say, the biggest thing with Jimmy is his injuries have been very tough for us when he's been hurt. It's happened 2 out of these 3 years, and that's where it starts, and Jimmy knows that. And then he goes on to say, he's been talking to him and all this stuff. But with that being said, basically the whole reason the 49ers wanted to trade up for a quarterback is because Jimmy Garoppolo's injuries, caused the 49ers to lose a lot of games because he didn't play a lot. So they trade up and take Trey Lance, expecting him to be that cornerstone player for the team that plays 8, 10, 12 years, doesn't miss many games. And as of right now, it's looking like Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch may have failed because Jimmy Garoppolo is still on this team playing meaningful snaps. And Trey Lance has had multiple injuries while on this team already in year 2. So I'm not saying the 49ers have 2 injury-prone quarterbacks on this team. Their whole goal was to move away from that. But that's kind of what it's looking like right now. Obviously, freak injury for Trey, just like Jimmy's ACL. But that is not the only injury to both of these players. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, it's interesting. That's a point that I think a lot of people aren't talking about. Is sure, Jimmy is like we fell into a fortunate situation. Not that Trey got hurt, but since he did get hurt, we still do have Jimmy. But Jimmy has been hurt like every year that he's been with the 49ers, maybe besides 2019. Figure the torn ACL. Last year with that thumb and shoulder injury. The year before he had that like calf injury where he missed a few weeks. So he's always been hurt. I don't think a lot of people are realizing that. We're only in week 3. There's still a long season ahead. And our O-line, I mean, statistically right now, the O-line's playing extremely well according to like PFF and stuff. But I think there's going to be a lot of times when they're going to fold a little bit just be based on inexperience, especially on the interior. So Jimmy's going to be getting hit. He's going to be getting pressure in his face. And that's another thing too is Jimmy, when the pocket collapses, especially from the inside, he gets lost, like PTSD or something almost, to where he's like, there's a play against the Cardinals from last year, the year before, I think. You remember? And like this dude's like ducking in and out and like falling backwards and shit. Like, what are you doing? And like nobody's even really close to him. So that's a thing a lot of people aren't thinking about. They think it's gonna be all, oh, we had Jimmy G, all rainbows and sunshine, but we've seen Jimmy G and what he is, so I want to get too excited.
Yeah, and like I said, the whole point of that trade up and trading all those picks is to get away from the injuries. And what do? Run your quarterback into the ground. And now you have the guy that, like you said, he can't evade pressure. And we've seen these young guys perform well so far. They play Aaron Donald in 2 weeks. The best interior pass rusher in the NFL. Jimmy G completed his rehab in July. This dude is fresh off a shoulder surgery. Like it's you know, we may see Brock Purdy at some point, and you know it is what it is. Um, you know, it goes down to Kyle Shanahan, man. It really does.
It's crazy because like we had Trey and he got hurt so early in the season, and now it's like a fresh season for Jimmy, but the injuries are still there. Like Jimmy's still getting. I don't. I don't know if I'd say he's injury prone. I'm sure a lot of people would, but there's still a good chance that he can get injured. I mean, of course, there is with any player, but still, you know what I mean? Like you said, we can be at Brock Purdy by fucking week 8, week 9. Um,
Here you
so I
go.
mean, I would just watch it because it's not like Jimmy to stay healthy for the whole season.
So here's Jimmy G's career in the NFL. Shoulder sprain 2016 when they needed Jimmy G to play 4 games because of Tom Brady's suspension, and he got injured. And then Jimmy G, obviously the torn ACL against the Chiefs. You know, that one was freak accident. Jimmy G was running, tore his ACL, running out of bounds, tried to cut back in. He returns for the 49ers and deals with multiple high ankle sprains in the 2020 season for the 49ers.
So the 2019 season, though, remember he stayed healthy because that was a Super Bowl
Yeah,
run.
the Super Bowl run, one full, complete, healthy year. And then he had 2 high ankle sprains in the 2020 season. One was against the Seattle Seahawks, but, you know, hobbled the whole year, ended up on injured reserve. 2021, Jimmy Garoppolo calf injury in week 4 against the Seahawks again. And he exits the game at halftime. Trey Lance takes over, finishes that game, and plays the next week against the Cardinals. And we'll get to Trey Lance too, because in that Cardinals game, Trey Lance gets hurt. Then you go to 2021. Obviously, he had the thumb injury against the Titans and the shoulder injury, which was just repaired, and he just finished rehabbing in July. So that's Jimmy G's injury history throughout his career. You know, tons and tons of season-ending injuries. And it's just that's who you have to rely on now because you decided to run your starting quarterback too many times this early in the season too. So what do you think
And
about that?
yeah, like we said, you're relying on him to be healthy, and his track record shows that he hasn't been very healthy throughout his career when he gets serious playing time. So that's definitely concerning, especially with the season being so young. Um, Speaking on Trey Lance, I know you're pulling up his history right now, probably,
Yep.
but didn't he say that he broke his thumb or something in week 2? I thought it was of last year. I'm
Hold
pretty
on.
sure he said that he was dealing with like a thumb injury throughout the whole season.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up.
So he had that injury, and then like you said, he got injured in the Cardinals game, and then now this injury as well. So there's not good track record for health for him either.
So Trey Lance, February 15, 2020. Uh, that was a high school knee injury. You know, not a big deal. He had a knee meniscus trim. August 29, 2021, hand finger fracture in the
Oh,
preseason game against the Raiders, which he would go on to have linger throughout the whole season, like you said. Trey Lance said it himself. It affected him the whole season. And that's the one you were speaking on. Kind of a fluke injury. I think he hit a helmet, correct?
yeah.
October 10th, that's the next month. He has to start the game against the Cardinals because Jimmy G got injured the week before. Kyle Shanahan runs him into the ground. Everybody, we said it. Everyone else said it. Why is he running them so much? And Trey Lance, knee strain, grade 1. He missed one game. Whatever, not a big deal. But we had all said, hey, if Kyle Shanahan uses Trey Lance like this, he will not last in the NFL. And then obviously you have, second game of the season, these 2 injuries on a zone read run, which now has Trey Lance's second NFL season over.
What is your how do you think that like alters this franchise?
I think it muddies up the picture of what the 49ers are going to do at the quarterback position for a long time. Obviously, it's hard to say what's going to happen with Jimmy G. I personally think Jimmy G will not want to stay with this team after this season. They said, hey, we're moving on. It's been all whatever, sunshines and rainbows right now. The team loves them. You saw how they celebrated him after that touchdown. While they left Trey Lance on the ground after that sack last week. But I just think there's some bad blood, even though it's not been shown. I think he's gone after this season, no matter how well it goes. And then Trey Lance, it's tough because you think it's going to be his team next year, but he's going to be coming off a major injury, still unproven. 49ers are still going to have a playoff contending team. Who's to say they don't try to go get a vet quarterback to try to go to the Super Bowl? I don't know. It's just, or who's to say, what if, a Malik Willis falls in the draft again like last year? Do they take him to back up Trey Lance? Who knows? I think it's a very, very muddied picture now.
Well, what's crazy too is next year is going to be his third year already. So they're going to have to start looking at the 5th-year option pretty soon as well after that. So you're really going to have like 1 year of evaluation on him in real NFL games if he can stay healthy the whole season to decide if you're going to pick up that 5th-year option or not. So that's going to be extremely interesting to see what we do there. Looking at that, what would you grade that pick so far? Or would you say it's just incomplete since we haven't seen anything?
No, I'd say it's pretty brutal at this point. The whole reason you draft a rookie quarterback and not trade for a veteran is to have that rookie quarterback contract on the books so you can build the team for a Super Bowl run. And we've seen it with multiple teams lately. Patrick Mahomes on the rookie deal takes the team to the Super Bowl, and they had a bunch of stars on that team. Justin Herbert on his rookie deal, they loaded that team up this year. Just multiple teams we've seen doing it. And now you've wasted, 2 years. It's going to be 3 years because next year is going to be the up and down year if Trey Lance is starting. So that contract's gone. Basically, you wasted the whole contract with Jimmy G on the team without giving Trey reps, with him getting injured. It's brutal. And then that's not even counting the 3 first-round picks and third-round pick that you traded. It looks brutal, and it's sad because it's not Trey's fault.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because this year is supposed to be the year for the ups and downs, Hopefully there's enough ups that can propel you into the playoffs and get you some playoff experience. But next year, that's going to be the year that you're going to have those ups and downs. So it just pushes that window out even further, that developmental window. And who knows? I mean, I've seen a lot of reports say that this ankle injury shouldn't hold him back at all once he gets back into the groove of things. So that's good. but still, I'm sure he's still gonna have like a little thought in the back of his head. You know what I mean? And yeah, his just development's getting pushed further and further and further out. It's unfortunate because shit, Debo's gonna be what, 30 years old next year or something? 29, 30?
Probably, yeah. He's
Like
pretty up
older.
there already.
Trent Williams is gonna be a year older too if he's still playing by then. Um, like
George Kittle's older.
yeah, George Kittle, I think he's like 28, 29. He'll probably be 30 something as well. Like guys are just getting older, so you're gonna have to pay Bosa, so that's gonna affect the players that you can bring back to the team and surround or new guys. Like you don't have first round pick. Um, so yeah, it's just pushing that window for competition because if next year's the year that he has to go through those ups and downs, or we're kind of struggling like that fourth year, you know what I mean? That's 2 years from now. Who knows what's gonna happen by then?
And also, what do the 49ers do? You know, do you leave Brock Purdy as the backup next year? Because you have super unproven guy, are you going to let the season go to waste? If something flares up, doesn't perform well, or are they going to pay again to have a veteran backup, pay him a ton of money just for an insurance policy? Like, it's just a very tough situation.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I think obviously the quarterback situation is probably worse than it was last year because last year you had Jimmy, but you had Trey as the number two sitting in the back. Now Trey is hurt, and now you're solely relying on Jimmy to stay healthy. You know what I mean? You're solely relying on Jimmy to stay healthy. If he's not healthy, then um, Brock Purdy comes in, and who knows what Purdy. I mean, Purdy looked decent in the preseason, but we'll see what he actually does.
I hope media people like you guys will not let Jimmy off the hook. They wanted him, no Super Bowl, we lost. Um, you know, we've we've been very hard on Jimmy as well. Jimmy sold a lot of games last year. That Titans game, 49ers easily won that game, and this dude starts throwing interceptions. Like, a lot of people forget that Jimmy made these huge mistakes as a veteran that Trey Lance was going to make, as a young second year player. And everyone thinks it's all sunshine and rainbows now with Jimmy in. No, he makes those stupid ass plays that piss you off. And trust me, we were one of the ones that wanted him gone and off the team, prevent the distractions. And it's tough. It's just this 49ers team, they're great some years, they're bad some years, they're frustrating most of the time though. So
Yeah, like we said, it's not all sunshine and rainbows with Jimmy because we know what the NFL knows what Jimmy is. They know if you stack that box and make Jimmy throw more like 8 times out of 10, your defense is going to win that. Um, like you said, that Titans game, multiple stupid interceptions. You're like, what are you looking at? We know that he can't really step up into the pocket, with pressure in his face. That's when he really starts doing stupid throws. Um, so yeah, people think it's all sunshine and rainbows with Jimmy, but I think we'll be all right, but it's still not going to be great.
thanks for the sub. We appreciate you. I will say better to have Jimmy than to have Brock Purdy, but
Yeah.
at the same time, like, it's frustrating with Jimmy because there are games where the game's over. The 49ers won the game. All you have to do is not do something dumb, and then he'll throw the dumb interception. And you're like, come on, man. And then it's a game. And it happened multiple times last year. And when Trey got injured, I had said, wow, now there's no easy games for us. We may win a lot of games, but every game is going to be a battle to the end because Jimmy cannot put games away when the 49ers are up 10 plus points. So it's going to be frustrating, but we still hope the 49ers win a lot of games, make the playoffs. I saw some people saying, hopefully the 49ers suck this year, so it's better for Trey's development next year. And I do not agree with that. It doesn't make any sense
What
to
does that
me.
even mean?
Because they were saying like how Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, Fields are on shitty teams. So there's no expectations or pressure.
Oh,
But if you're the quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers, there's pressure on you because you're playing for a franchise that had Joe Montana, Steve Young, two all-time great quarterbacks, 5 Super Bowl victories, tons of NFC championship. They've been in the NFC championship a ton of times since 2010. Like, there's just always going to be expectations. It doesn't matter who's at quarterback. So, you know, we still hope for a good year, and you still hope Jimmy does good. You still have to play football this year. So, we got to support the guy, but it is going to be frustrating.
yeah. Like we said, the season's still young too, so we still want a successful season no matter who's at quarterback, because if you're wishing like, oh, I just hope the Niners suck, or like I hate Jimmy G, we don't hate Jimmy G, obviously. We want him to do good because we want the team to do good, because then if you're just kind of like getting through this year, you're waiting a whole nother off season and everything for Trey to come back. So just try to appreciate this season, because we waited so long for it to get here. Now it's here. So we got to enjoy it. And obviously we want to do good. Um, what would you say final record prediction? What would you
Final
say?
record prediction this year. Um, I think the 49ers probably win 10 games in the regular season this year. Still, the defense looks like top 3 in the league. They have some people playing out of their minds on defense. And the one good thing with Jimmy is he gets the ball to his playmakers. We saw that immediately in this game. Deebo Samuel touched the ball a ton when Jimmy came in because Jimmy can make those short, screens behind the line of scrimmage. He throws great slant routes, so the receivers and weapons are going to get the ball still. I say 10 wins.
Yep. Amen, I'm going to guess is how you say his name. He says 11 wins. I think 11 wins too, probably somewhere 10, 11 wins with the one win in the playoffs. Yeah, I would say maybe 1 or 2 wins. But yeah, like you said, Jimmy's known to get the ball out quick, which is good because that's going to get the balls into Kittle's hands, Debo's hands, Ayuk's hands, which is where, those are our money makers on the team, really. So they're going to get us the most yards, which is good. So, yeah, I mean, complementary football is what's going to do the best for us. So running that ball is going to be key. With Eli Mitchell being hurt, that's a kind of a letdown for right now because he was the most electric running back for our team. But Jeff Wilson didn't look too bad. Ty Davis Price didn't look too bad, but he's out with a high ankle sprain. I think Jordan Mason's going to come in and surprise a lot of people too, to be honest with you.
That's one thing that I wanted to touch on in this video as well with Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan, when people talk and think about Kyle Shanahan, they talk about, oh, it don't matter who he has at running back. They're going to produce. And if they, every year they pull up the screen that shows the 49ers leading rusher for the past 7 years, and it's always a different person, right? We see it every year. We see this graphic pulled up. Tevin Coleman, Raheem Mostert, Elijah Mitchell, Matt Breida, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
But is that a good thing? Because all of those running backs got hurt. You know, Kyle Shanahan kind of runs his running backs and now his quarterback into the ground. Elijah Mitchell last year was, you know, he had the juice. He looked explosive as hell. And he ran the ball like, I believe in the second or third game, some insane amount of times. And then he got nicked up. And then he just wasn't the same the whole year. You know, do you think, you know, same thing in the back end of the season last year? Debo Samuel getting tons of carries out of the backfield at the end of the year. And we had even said, hey, Debo Samuel should not be running up the middle this much at the back end of the year. Do you think Kyle Shanahan, you know, is using his players wrong and that's kind of why they get hurt so often? Or do you think it's just, you know, football injuries, it happens, whatever?
I mean, it's tough because you want to do whatever you have to do to win the game, of course. Um, so it's tough. I mean, I think you need to get a good mix of it. You know, like having Debo play running back, yes, it works a lot, but also having him as the threat of the receiver works very well. So you need to have that mix of both. And I think he struggles to do that because, like we said, once he sees something works one time, he's going to keep doing it. It was evident with Devo last year, running, running, running. It works, but it's going to eventually, like towards the end of last year in that Cowboys game, you remember he kept doing the same outside zone with Debo. Um, and that was getting stopped, but he kept doing it because he saw it worked once. So then he just kept doing it. Um, I think with it's tough too because the players that we have are really physical, like the Debos and the Kittles. You know, they seek hits. Like if you look at Debo's run where he should have got stopped like 3 or 4 yards in the backfield at this last game, towards the end of it, he like goes into the dude to truck
Yeah.
him. So obviously that play style is going to bring a lot more injuries and bruises and stuff like that. So football injuries, I think, are a little bit into it, but also I think it's a little bit of Shanahan not using the players the right way, you could say, I guess.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and drop the link to if anybody wants to join us on the pod. We'd love, 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 love to hear some fan takes on this whole situation with the 49ers right now. Um, because everyone has a different take, you know. So I dropped the link in the chat if anyone wants to join. But it's just, it's insane, you know. It's, you know, it feels like there's always something every year with the 49ers where we're like, man, what the hell is happening? Um, but yeah, I kind of found it interesting the usage of running backs and why it's always just a churn of different guys. And you know, I thought it was kind of because Kyle Shanahan can get production from anybody, but I kind of think it's because he runs them into the ground and someone else has to pick up where the last one left off at one point or another. You see, there really isn't good use of, you know, a committee. Last year it was Elijah Mitchell and then third down Hasty. You know, that was it. And then until Debo started running the ball. But I don't know. That was something I saw on a podcast earlier and it was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And there's the link highlighted for anybody if you want to join. Right when we posted the link, like 4 or 5 people hopped off the stream. I don't know why people do not like coming on the stream with us on here. We just want to hear
uh,
people's takes.
yeah, I think obviously too with Shanahan's offensive scheme that running backs are going to have a shorter shelf life because just of how many times you run the ball. It's Shanahan's goal to run the ball 40 times in a game. He said that before. You know what I mean? Like, it's well known. I don't know if that's because of Jimmy's limitations or if that's just because what he actually wants to do. Um, but obviously, running backs are going to have a shorter life. Do you think like a Derrick Henry would fare well with the Niners? Like
I
a
think
bigger bruiser back like that?
I think the scheme wouldn't work as well because he's not, that outside zone runner. He's a more inside runner, but I feel like that type of profile could probably work a little better. You know what I mean? Just durability wise. Um, but yeah, the 49ers, maybe if they had a guy, Najee Harris, kind of the bigger guy, maybe that would be better. Or if they invested, they always do the third round pick and it never hits on a guy. Maybe if they did get that guy that was, a star running back, maybe they'd be better off for it.
So would you? I have a question then. Would you want to spend like a, let's say, second, third round pick on a running back and have him be the back for like 5 or so years, or keep doing what we're doing now and doing like the sixth, seventh undrafted guys and just have them play almost like a year but be very productive?
But you keep
Given contract situation as well, contract, because obviously second, third round pick's going to make a lot more money than like a undrafted seventh, sixth, fifth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you get the seventh, sixth, fifth guy. You're still drafting a guy in the third round. 3 years they've
Well,
done
no,
it.
I'm
3
saying I'm
years.
not saying that like we're going to keep doing that. I'm asking if, let's say, we just did a third round, that was it, or would you rather do like the what we're doing now, excluding the third round picks?
Obviously, right now, given, they traded all these first round picks and now they have to hit on everything, it would look bad for them to take a running back with a first or a second, right? But given a normal situation, if there's a guy that you're like, this is the guy, like back in those days where you had your first round running backs where it's like
Reggie
there's
Bush.
no missing on these guys, I would be fine with it.
Yeah.
If you, like you said, if you knew he was going to be the guy for 4 or 5 years, yep, do it. I don't care. It's the most important position on the 49ers offense.
That's interesting that you say that. Very interesting that you say that. Yeah. So you think the running back's the most important position?
When you
I would
talk about when you talk about Kyle Shanahan, what is the first thing you talk about his offense?
obviously the run game,
Okay.
but
Obviously the O-line leads that, but I'm saying from the skill positions, obviously it's the running
I
back.
would I would say it's not the most important position because of all of the different players that you see come in and contribute to that position. Like you said, you get the Bredas, you get the Hasties, the Mosterts, those later round guys. It's constant production no matter who it is. So that's why I don't think it's the most important position because you have all these. It's not like you have like one player is mainly doing the production of it. It's multiple guys can fit in that scheme and make it work. So that's why I would say it's
Exactly.
probably not the most important position.
Most guys can fit and make it work. Imagine you have a superstar, how different the offense is.
Do you think he really elevates it though? You know what I mean? Because you're
Yeah,
getting this great production with all
look
these
at Debo
dudes.
Samuel. Debo Samuel's the 49ers best running back, and look at how explosive the offense is when Debo Samuel runs the ball. Now imagine he didn't have to play running back and you had a running back that could do that. You know why the 49ers made the Super Bowl in 2019? Because Raheem Mostert was explosive as hell, but he was injury prone.
Well,
Imagine a superstar.
Well, yeah, but look, it's not like Debo was the only good running back in this system. Like you just said, you have Mostert. Matt
Yeah.
Breida was extremely good in this system.
So
Elijah Mitchell
imagine
was extremely good in this system. So
so
that's why there's
imagine a
like,
superstar.
I mean, I
Debo
get what you're.
Samuel. Imagine you didn't have to play Debo Samuel at running back and you had a guy that did the same exact thing. How much better the team is.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but like you can get this productivity out of all these different players. That's why I don't think it's a. Let's get some. Can we get some comments in our chat? Give your opinions if you think that that's the most important position in Cal Shanahan's scheme is the running back position,
We're
or
saying
if you think it's a
skill. We're
different
saying
position.
skill positions, not the O line, obviously. Because tell me this: tell me what position, what skill position is the most important to the 49ers on offense?
I mean, it depends.
No,
Really,
you gotta say one. You gotta say one.
quarterback. Quarterback's the most important position in football.
No, I said in Kyle Shanahan's
In Kyle
offense.
Shanahan's, yes, if you have a good quarterback, then you're not limited to running the ball 40 times. We're limited to running the ball 40 times right now because Jimmy Garoppolo is the quarterback.
And they
And
still win games.
same with Trey Lance. We're running the ball so many times because his passing is not perfect at the moment. You know, he has his inaccuracies. So if you
Yeah,
get
so
a
you're
quarterback
saying,
that can sling that shit like Kirk Cousins and stuff, you know what I mean? Like
but see, you just contradicted yourself because
how?
you just said, oh, but Jimmy Garoppolo can do it. Oh, Trey Lance could do it. So quarterback isn't important then because
No,
they
I
don't
didn't say they
have.
can do it. I said that's why we're running the
Hmm.
ball so many times because they
Kyle wants a
can't.
Terrell Davis. I agree. If you had a Terrell Davis, wow, the 49ers offense would be amazing.
I was saying that Jimmy G and Trey Lance can't. That's why we're running the ball so much because they can't throw it as well as if you actually had somebody that can sling that shit. Could you imagine if we had like an Andrew Luck on the 49ers?
And
We
Kyle
would not be running
Shanahan
the ball
and
50
Kyle
times,
Shanahan would
40,
still run
35
the ball
times. We would run
40
it, but it would
times.
definitely would no. You're fucking crazy. You're out of
That's
your
Kyle
mind.
Shanahan's offense. It's built on the run.
It
It's
is. Oh,
just
I
it's just
agree.
then on third and short, and Kyle Shanahan could take the shots that he wants to. He's still going to run the ball majority of the game because he wants that time of possession and he wants
Okay.
to chew the clock.
Let me ask you this. You have a third
Yep.
and 6, right? And you have an Andrew Luck at quarterback. Okay, the Niners had a third and 6. I remember like Packers game, NFC champion, or was it the NFC championship? 2019. Um, yeah, it was the Packers NFC championship. It was like third and 6. And we do like an inside zone handoff to Raheem Mostert on third and 6. If you have an Andrew Luck at quarterback, you're not doing an inside zone on third and 6 with the game on the line. You're not.
I agree, but that's exactly what I just said is he would still rely on the run game, but then he wouldn't have to in those key moments.
Yeah. So
But
that's
he has proven that that is not the most important position because he hasn't gone for the superstar quarterback, you know?
there isn't a most important position because Kyle Shanahan runs a positionless offense because Devo Samuel's a wide receiver playing running back. Trey Lance is a quarterback playing running back. So it's a positionless offense.
Debo Samuel threw more touchdowns last year than Trey Lance got to this year. Did you know that?
Exactly. Positionless offense. Exactly. My point. You have George Kittle running screen passes and stuff, zone sweeps. Like, yeah.
That is one thing though that I do think changes, with Jimmy G at quarterback now is you have, I believe, Debo Samuel stock rises a bit. Debo Samuel is a Pro Bowl player on the 49ers with Trey Lance at quarterback. I think Debo Samuel's an all pro player with Jimmy G just because Jimmy G is better at getting those short throws off to Debo Samuel than Trey Lance is. What do you think?
What are you? Yeah, I agree. What are your thoughts on how Jimmy G in his post game presser said like this felt like 2017, not to where we're being like conservative like we've been in the past. Because I did think Jimmy G did take a few more shots than what you usually see, to Ayuk. He had a couple.
Yeah, a couple lame ducks, but there was one good one real good
Yeah,
one.
that one that Ayuk should have caught like
Yeah,
down in the left side of the field on the sideline, and he dropped it.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
I
is
mean there
one
were some
thing.
ducks, but some of them looked pretty good,
Yeah,
which is kind of impressive because you don't see that much from Jimmy.
yeah, I do hope that Kyle lets Jimmy sling it a little bit more than he used to, because the offense gets so stagnant, when he doesn't let him push the ball down the field. Um, but that is one thing that I would like to note. Brandon Ayuk, we want to see him take that next step to be a better, a next level wide receiver. He's in that middle range right now, but to make that next level step, he's got to complete these catches, man. He has these insane catches that are in his hands, and he drops them. Um, like the one in this game. You go back to last year where Trey Lance put that dot on him in the back of the end zone against the Texans, dropped it. Um, was there one in the end zone in this game as well that he put it on him? He could have caught it, but he didn't, on the
To
right
Ayuk,
side. Yeah.
I don't think so.
No. Well, it's happened multiple times.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I just want to see how you make that next step, make those catches that the top wide receivers in the league make.
yeah.
And yeah, he has to lead the receiver. Jimmy, it's never been his strength pushing the ball down the field. Um, all
Even
you
on some
can
of the
ask,
slants and stuff, he'll throw it behind, and that's when he gets picked a lot. He'll throw it
yeah,
behind the receiver or something, and they'll have to like stop running and turn around to get it. Picks. So when you see a lot of picks, a lot of the outside the number stuff, they'll just kind of sail on him, which Trey Lance hits. So that's going to be a difference too.
I
Without Trey.
wonder, I wonder if it's gonna take a week or two, where the offense kind of takes a step back because they have to implement the Jimmy G offense now. You know, they were trying to push the ball outside the numbers, run the ball with the QB. Now it's going to
Stretch
be
the
more of
field.
those. Now it's going to be more of those slants, short, quick screens, manufacture the receivers open. I wonder if we see the offense kind of like struggle a week or two to get into that Jimmy G groove.
I don't. I would say probably not, just because the core of the offense is still pretty much there. At least from a skill position
Yeah.
aspect of it, because you still have Debo, who was there last year, Ayuk, Kittle, who were all still there last year. Um, and I think that'll only help the offensive line as well, because Jimmy's going to look to get it out quick. So, I think that's going to help the younger dudes. They're not going to have to hold their blocks as long, to where if Trey was running around in the back and kind of waiting and stuff, you know what I mean? Like, they're not going to have to hold their blocks as long with Jimmy. So I think that's going to help. Um, I think it'll probably help the offense a little bit, but the there's a ceiling for sure with Jimmy G compared to the ceiling with um, Trey Lance. Who knows what it was? Could have been a
Yeah.
Chiefs offense, Bills offense. It's where with Jimmy G, you know what you're getting, but I think it helps the team a little bit right now, at least at this part of the season.
Yeah. And if you guys tuned into this video, you're watching it on Rewind, subscribe. We're putting out tons of content for you guys. Tomorrow, I know I'll be on. I don't know if you will, because it's going to be very early in the morning for you. Um, I'll be recording with a Broncos podcast, getting all the info we need on the Broncos, what to expect in the game from them. Um, every Every game day, we go live an hour before the game. So tune into that. We try to get you guys on here on these live streams. We have it posted again in the chat uh, to talk with us about how you're feeling about the 49ers and what's going on. But, nobody ever wants to come on. But we put out some awesome interviews on our channel. Jason Poe interview. He's on the practice squad right now. We have Terrell Brown. He played in the Super Bowl with the 49ers back in the early 2010s. Great, underrated cornerback for the team. And who's the one you did with?
49ers legend, 3-time Hall of Famer, 3-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro, first-team All-Pro. Randy Cross, guard, center. Randy Cross played with the greats of Joe Montana, Steve Young, played under Bill Walsh. So go check out that interview. Go check out all the interviews. They're pretty good. Pretty good info on the stuff that you don't really hear about.
Hello to the 49ers faithful. Yes, faithful. We got to stay strong through all this stuff that's going on. The 49ers always, this is like reality TV. This team is reality TV, I don't know. My wife be watching the Kim Kardashians and stuff. The 49ers are just as dramatic. So
just for men. 49ers
yeah.
are reality TV for men.
And women. We have a lot of 49er women fans as well.
True.
So thanks for tuning in, 49ers Ultimate Report. Trey is and will be a pocket QB. I agree. Trey Lance, he's more, you need to use Trey Lance as a scrambling quarterback, not as a run first quarterback. There's a big difference. First time on our channel. Hey, we appreciate it. We're trying to grow this thing. And like we said, good content. We put out a bunch of content. Just keep tuning in. We appreciate
maybe in the
all of you
future we
guys.
can do a collab with the 49ers Ultimate Report.
Yep. We appreciate all you guys. We'll post one more time the link if anyone wants to join. Oops, I pressed the wrong thing. If anybody wants to join, say something about the 49ers, how they're feeling. Just rant a little bit about Kyle Shanahan or Jimmy G or something. We don't mind. And also, subscribe to the channel, like, leave a comment, go watch our interviews. That Randy Cross interview that Alex did, awesome. Randy Cross went into some crazy details of like going to the Super Bowl game and it's freezing cold and how they were getting ready. It was that great interview. Definitely recommend. All right, we got John J here. How's it going?
Nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet
Thanks,
you.
too.
Yeah. I was just
what do you go ahead?
I was looking at, and your recommendations from YouTube popped up. I clicked on it. Been listening to you guys for like 5 minutes. So thanks for having me on.
Oh yeah,
Cool.
no problem.
Appreciate
you got anything you want to say, about the season, the whole quarterback thing going on, anything like that?
Well, so many people are looking at the negatives and they're not looking at the positives. And I've said already that like nobody wants to have insurance for any type of things, but there's a reason why Kyle Juszczyk said that. I think after the game, nobody wants insurance, but we have it. We never use it, but when you have to use it, it's always useful. And everyone knew when the season started this was Trey's season to develop. We wanted to see what he was going to do. Unfortunately, he got hurt. This is the NFL. We can blame everyone. We can blame anyone we want, but Trey got hurt. We have to wait another year for him to develop. It's part of football. But Jimmy, who's been here before, just like Kyle Juszczyk said, this felt like 49ers football. You see how the team is rallying around the next man up. And no matter how you feel about this situation, if you're a 49er fan, doesn't matter where you're from, if you're from San Francisco or you're from somewhere else, if you're a 49er fan, you want to win football games. And if Jimmy can help the team, and the word is help, not command the offense, not to be the star, to help the team win football games, we should be hoping for that. But
I agree.
if we are going to be like, Trey has to play, or, put Purdy in there, whatever, then you're not focusing on the bigger picture. And I told this to many people in the podcast community of the 49ers. Trent Williams is getting older. He's not getting younger. He's 33, going to be 34 next year. George Kittle, at the end of the season, will be 30. Debo's getting older. Mike McGlinchey's getting older. He's getting close to 30. On the defensive side, the defense is young, but that offense is getting older. The question is, do we wait another year, let these players get older, and let Trey develop? And that's one thing that no one's going to be talking about. But we have to start to realize, let's try to win football games. Let's win the football games. And hopefully this team goes to the playoffs and has a long playoff run. But right now, it's early in the season. We'll see what Jimmy does next week against the Broncos on prime time. And then the following week, another prime time game. So Jimmy is going to be on prime time for the next two games. And hopefully he can show not just the 49er faithful, but the rest of the NFL that he's the guy who's going to help this team move forward. And that's very simple for me. Again, I like Trey Lance. I really do. It sucks that he's hurt. But now, as a 49er faithful, I'm going to support my quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo. And if that's a little bit too hard or that's not the right thing to say, I'm sorry, but I'm a 49er fan first. If you're wearing the jersey, I'm going to root for you. If you're not wearing the jersey, I'm going to root against you. So that's how I see it.
Hey, I agree. And like you said, we have a chance still. Jimmy G has proven he can win games, even if it's the team helping him. He's been on the team when they've won a lot of games. And we could have Brock Purdy starting right now, and all of us would be like, hey, the season's over. Like, that's the last pick in the draft last year. He could be a good player, but that's not who you want leading a Super Bowl ready roster right now. So I 100% agree with you.
Yeah, I think a big thing too that you said that all 49er fans need to hear is no matter what side of the quarterback debate you're on, if you're on Team Trey or Team Jimmy, we all need to rally around Jimmy now because he's the man this year. We need to rally around him, support him, because as Niner fans, like you said, we all just want to see the team win. We want to see us get that 6th Super Bowl, and we just need to rally around him, support him, because hating on him isn't going to do anything. Wanting to see the team lose isn't going to do anything. We all just need to support him, rally around the team, and hope for the best because, like you said, a lot of those offensive stars are getting older. Defense is young, but offensive stars are getting older. So let's try to have the best year we can. We waited this whole offseason for 49ers football, and it's finally here. We hit some adversity, but we got to battle through it, rally around the team, and just hope for the best. Yep.
Well, thanks for having me on, guys. But before I go, I just want to let you know, like, I do have a YouTube channel. I'm going to post this link on my community tab so my fans can check you guys out as well. Because every time I see a new, little content creator, I try to do my part. One thing about me, I want to help all the 49er faithful. So thanks for having me on. And I want to post your video so my fans can check out your great content. And I really appreciate it for you guys to have me on.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And go ahead and drop your channel in the comments, and I'll put it up on the screen for a second as well.
All right.
I'll appreciate it.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
All right. We got Niner dude here. That's the correct attitude to have. Go Niners. Yep. Hey, man, stuff happens. Elijah Mitchell went out. You want Jeff Wilson to succeed. You don't hate on Jeff Wilson. You don't want him to fail. You know what I mean? Next man up. That's why you have backups in the NFL.
Yep, got to rally around the team. We were waiting, like I said, we were waiting this whole time for 49ers football. It's finally here. Hit some adversity, but we just got to battle through it. The team's going to battle through it, so we as fans got to battle through it too, no matter what side of the spectrum you're on, and just rally with us. It's still going to be a fun year for sure. Yeah, and thanks to 49ers Ultimate Report as well for coming on. He dropped some good words for us too. We appreciate it. Go subscribe to his channel.
Yep. And one more thing, about Jimmy G that we could talk about is Jimmy G's on a contract year. He re-signed. They restructured his last year of his deal. If you're in a contract year, you're gonna try to ball out. Eric Armstead, the most sacks he ever had in the NFL was on his contract year because he was trying to get that big contract. Jimmy's old. Jimmy probably has one more decent contract in him. And if he wants that, he's going to have to ball out this year. So, expect him. Obviously, he's going to play hard no matter what. But I'm just saying, it's a contract year. If he wants to get one more sizable contract, he has to do it now. So, that's just another thing to think about.
Quick question. I'm curious to see everybody who's watching. I want to get y'all's opinion too. So if you want to either join this, come on stream with us, or drop a little comment. What do you guys think it takes for Jimmy to, what amount of success in the playoffs does it take for Jimmy to be back on the team next year? Are we saying make it back to the Super Bowl? Are we saying win a couple of playoff games, make it to the NFC Championship game, or what do you think it takes for him to be back next year? I'm not saying to start next year. I'm just saying to at least be competing with Trey for the starting spot. Not a guaranteed start, obviously, just to be competing.
And remember, the 49ers in that restructured contract, they can't franchise tag him.
Yeah.
So Jimmy is a free agent. If they don't re-sign him before the season is over, he can talk to any team, So that's another thing to think about. Does he want to have this whole thing happen again next year? If he plays well, he can easily walk and sign a better deal with a different team that needs a QB. But personally, I don't think he's back next year.
No matter what.
But, I'm just saying, as we all know, the 49ers do not care, and they'll do whatever the hell they please. So I could see him being back, but I personally just don't think he's back next year. I think he'll probably get like a 2 to 3 year deal on a team, maybe like the Colts with Matt Ryan, kind of like that type of thing, if Jimmy G is healthy entering the offseason off a good season.
So you think if we make it to the NFC Championship game, and he's playing pretty well, do you think he comes back next year or no?
No, he'll sign a decent deal with a different team.
So are you saying that we won't offer him? Or what are you?
Hey, man, I don't know. We might offer him because they don't give a shit what we think. The 49, Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch do whatever they please. And they really do not care the backlash on any of it. So I would not be surprised if they did offer him a deal. I just think he'll have more fruitful opportunities elsewhere.
Yeah, true. Yeah, because I don't if he did take us to the NFC Championship game or, had a couple playoff wins. I don't think he would be too ecstatic about coming and competing for a starting spot compared to if he went to. Teams are always going to need quarterbacks. Some teams are always going to need a starting quarterback. And that team could probably guarantee him, okay, we guarantee you this starting spot. You're not going to have to compete with Trey. And I think obviously he would prefer that.
Yeah. And also, like we said, the 49ers will do anything. Maybe he balls out and the 49ers are like, hey, Trey Lance, you're now Jordan Love. You're going to sit behind this dude for 3 years. You know, who knows? It could happen. I have no idea.
Yeah.
We got a Panama Queen putting a smiley face. Thanks for tuning in. And we have Shreddy Murphy. As long as Trey is the backup, Jimmy G will be back because there is zero trust in Trey. Maybe less now than 2 years ago since he's farther removed for play. Yeah, I mean, it is true. You know, Trey Lance has played in 4 games? He's going to have played in like 4 games within like a 3 or 4 year period. Something like that, right?
Yeah,
So
something like ridiculous.
pretty much every single rookie that's entering the NFL next year, every rookie QB is going to have more experience than Trey Lance. That's insane. And that'll be 3 years removed.
Panama Queen says 10 wins for the Niners. That's what it seems like. Everybody's guessing right now is 10 or 11 wins, somewhere around there. I would agree. Probably 10, 11. I think that's pretty right. Still do have a tough schedule. I am curious to see how Jimmy performs in the spotlight because that Titans game was in the spotlight, you remember, and you threw it. At the same time, that Bengals game was in the spotlight, and he kind of was throwing it for a moment. You remember? He almost cost us, but then we ended up winning. So
Jerry Judy might be out. Yes, Panama Queen. I will be recording a podcast with a Broncos podcaster tomorrow. So that'll probably be out Thursday. And they're going to give us the whole lowdown of what to expect from that Broncos team in prime time Sunday night.
Another big one as well with Jerry Judy is Pat Surtain, the corner, their top corner, who's also day-to-day right now, I think, with a shoulder injury. So that's a big one. You know, if their top corner's out, look for Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Devo to be making some plays out there on the perimeter. So that'll be fun to watch.
And I think that's about all we got today, right? You have any last words for the stream?
Like Joseph said, if you guys are just tuning in now, go check out our other videos. We have some great interviews with 49ers legend Randy Cross, former starting quarterback in the Super Bowl, Terrell Brown, and then current 49er practice squad player, Jason Poe. So go check those out. Those are great interviews. They give a lot of behind-the-scenes info, especially Randy Cross, you know, about those legendary times with Bill Walsh, Joe Montana, Steve Young, Jerry Rice. He gives a lot of great info into all those. So go check those videos out. Like, comment, subscribe too if you're still here. We appreciate all you guys for tuning in. This has probably been our most watched live ever in our whole channel. So thanks for tuning in. It was a lot of fun seeing all your guys' comments and opinions. Thanks to 49ers Ultimate Report for actually coming on and talking with us. He gave a lot of great info. I think a lot of 49ers fans need to listen to what he had to say too, because it's true. Yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah, and remember, we're live usually an hour, but we're going to try 40 minutes before every single 49er game. Tune in. We'll give you a breakdown of the injury report, what to expect prior to the game, and we'd love to have some people jump on and talk, you know. We love to hear your guys' opinions, how you're feeling about the team heading into the game. You know, this channel, we created it for you guys. We like to talk 49er football. We know you guys like to talk 49er football. We love to have you guys on. Thanks for tuning in.
Yep, and we're fans too. That's all we are. We're just diehard 49er fans. So don't feel like we know anything more than you guys or whatever. We're just fans too. Also, with going live 40 minutes before the game, we also like to give out a player that exemplifies the bully ball style that the 49ers play with. So we like to give who we think is going to be it for that week. So if you guys are going to tune in to the pregame live stream. Come with some comments too, who you think will be the bully of the week for that week as well.
Yep.
Besides that, that's it.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Peace.